Welcome to the show. We're broadcasting live today with Ann Coulter from the Kowloon.
Yay!
In Saugus. We have a packed house here, 400 people. 400 people. There's no room to stand. It's standing room only here. It's great. We're so happy. Everybody's got their books, and we're going to have a great time here. And you know what? On top of everything else, so often on Friday afternoons, we get these dumps of information, and it's always depressing, the information that they dump out. They clear, they issue like another 100 commutations and pardons for drug dealers and illegal aliens and guys that were captured with sawed-off shotguns. Today is the exception that proves the rule. In case you haven't heard, just broke a couple of hours ago, FBI to take new investigative steps on the Clinton emails. The investigation has been reopened. Believe it or not, it's been reopened. It's great, isn't it, Ann? I mean, aren't you happy about this?
Yes, but I really think they're just trying to protect their reputation at this point. This is like the moment when Hillary collapsed on 9/11. This just proves what we knew. Will this go anyplace? I mean, the FBI itself destroyed these computers. So much was coming out about how the agents themselves were furious at Comey.
Right.
This is why, among the many, many other reasons, you have to vote for Trump, just if you want to end this corruption in government. My last book, Adios America, The Left's Plan to Turn Our Country into a Third World Country, we are proceeding toward a third world country, leaps and bounds. This hand-in-glove relationship between the FBI and Hillary and the quid pro quo, if you'll just say that these weren't classified, we'll give the FBI some positions abroad. I mean, it's just such
we'll immunize your aides,
corruption.
and then the aide will claim she's your lawyer, so she'll have double immunity. She'll have attorney-client on addition to the immunity. And then, by the way, we'll also destroy her computer.
Right. Which
triple
the
immunity,
FBI
triple immunity.
destroys for them. The one thing, it's funny how liberals, their attack on Trump is always, oh, he's a tyrant. He wants to assume powers beyond the powers of the executive branch. Really, do you think the media is going to let him do that? Do you think Congress, will Paul Ryan let him?
Don't be a gloomy Gus.
He has the entire government, the entire media, all of Hollywood against him. If all you want is clean government, and you don't care about immigration, trade deals, endless wars in the Middle East, if all you want is clean government, you have to vote for Donald Trump. Look at how corrupt our government is.
Everybody's happy here. Everybody's having a good time, whether they're at the Kowloon here with all of us or they're in their cars. They're happy.
You get too excited about these things.
Listen,
he's a corrupt guy. He's doing this to save face. I mean, it's great. That shows that it was sleazy and cowardly what he did the first time. But really, do you expect an indictment to come out of this? No.
Well, I expect some good headlines. Listen, let's go over these are the most read stories on the Washington Post website right now, the 4 most read stories. Number 1, FBI to conduct new investigation of emails from Clinton's private server. Right, yes. Number 2, professor who's predicted 30 years of presidential elections correctly is doubling down on a Trump win. 3rd most read story, Clinton lead shrinks. Even as nearly 6 in 10 expect her to win, post-ABC tracking poll finds. And then here's a dark horse for the 4th most read story, and it'll make you happy too. Paul Ryan just finished his first year as Speaker. He may not see a second.
Yay! That's the best news there.
That's something we can all agree on, right? If he doesn't get it for whatever reason, it would be a good thing for all of us. A silver lining on this dark, gloomy day. But it's not that gloomy because one of the things Steve was telling me this. We've been here at the Kowloon. And talking to people. And by the way, would like to thank Stanley Wong. He's the guy who put this thing together at the Kowloon. Thank you, Stanley.
Thank you, Stanley.
And be sure to vote for the Wong that you see on the ballot if you're from the Saugus-Wakefield area. He's in a tight race for state rep, not Stanley, but one of his relatives. And so be sure to vote Wong. And then I would also like to thank Bob Maines from Matthews Brothers. He's the one who was downstairs taking all your pictures if you were in the VIP room, and we're going to have all those pictures posted. You can just go and grab them from our website. Thank you to Bob Maines for sponsoring this and also for taking all the pictures as well. And thanks, of course, to Ann Coulter for coming up. It's great to have you here, Ann. I'm looking forward to a good afternoon here. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me. I've told Howie forever, and it's absolutely true. He has the best listeners in the business. I do so much talk radio, and I think it was with my very first book, High Crimes and Misdemeanors. It was the most exciting thing that can happen to an author. Now I've written 12 books, but on my first book, I remember calling in. It was just a few weeks after it had come out, and your callers had all read it. And they were calling in with questions about stuff I had written it. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is the most fun an author can ever have. You have the smartest, most informed, and wise listeners in the business. So I'm very happy to be here with you all.
Thank you. And Ann will be with me tomorrow at the Hoogie Lau in Chicopee, which is Springfield, Western Mass. And we still have some tickets. Again, we sold this place out very quickly. We still got a few tickets left for the Hoogie Lau. So if you want to be there at noon, at the Hoogie Lau, same deal. You come in, you get a book, you get a nice Chinese buffet, and you get to meet Ann. We won't be doing a radio show, but we'll have a lot of video cuts, and we'll be commenting on the video cuts.
Oh, that'll be fun.
So if you want to get to the Hoogie Lau on Saturday, that's tomorrow in Chicopee, go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on events, and you can order your tickets. But we're going to have a good time here. This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Liquor and More, with 5 locations, including South Yarmouth. Liquor and More, a proud supporter of life's memorable moments. Steve, what's the story here? Now, you were telling me before the show, before we went on the air, that somehow Carlos Danger could be mixed up in this reopening of this investigation. I mean, there again, another cherry on the whipped cream. If Carlos Danger is bringing this investigation back to life, what's going on, Steve?
So the Associated Press is reporting that the new revelations have nothing to do with Hillary Clinton's server. There actually is a new device that's been discovered, and some people are speculating on Twitter that this new device could have been a cell phone that was seized in the investigation into Carlos Danger sexting with an underage girl.
Oh, because it's coming from the DA's office in New York. Is that the case?
I think there's like a two.
You just told me it's the DA's office, and they're the ones looking
in New York.
At Carlos Danger.
The DA, which is I think Cyrus Vance, and then you have the U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara. Preet Bharara, yeah, who's been going after all kinds of people in both parties in Albany, and he's going after De Blasio as well. So I think they're both investigating this. And also the U.S. Attorney in North Carolina is investigating, because that's where the underage girl was that Carlos was texting with, you know.
No, it really shows what excellent judgment Hillary Clinton has and the kinds of people she'll surround herself with. Her main top advisor, Huma Abedin, her mother runs this jihadist Muslim Brotherhood publication. Her jihadist, no, well, not jihadist, but fundamentalist, and she's married to a pederast. That's Hillary Clinton's main advisor. The rest of them helped her set up a private server. Everybody talks about Trump's judgment, but I mean, there are some things people might object to about Trump, but it's not its judgment. It's not his instincts. Those are magnificent, and the people he surrounds himself with are magnificent.
How about this Doug Band email that came out yesterday, the 13 pages? I mean, I was reading it again last night. It reads like an indictment. This
is the one where they can't figure out what was going on and who let her get away with this?
No, he's saying, here's what I've done for you. I got you I've been working for you my entire life. He's like, somebody said today, he's like Tom Hagen in The Godfather. he's the lawyer, but he's also like an adopted member of the family. And his law practice, he only has one client, which is Bill Clinton. And so basically, he's just grabbing money for Bill Clinton. And so he says, I want to have my own racket. So I'm going to set up Teneo. I'm going to spin off Teneo from the Clinton Foundation so I can make big money too. And by the way, you shouldn't be mad at me because I've already made you. This is all right out there in the open. For so much for never putting anything in print. Never write when you can speak, never speak when you cannot. So far, I've made you $8 million in the last 2 years. And if you go through with everything that I've set up for you, you'll be making $50 million over the next 9 years. I'm thinking to myself, you don't have to write the indictment.
Right,
it's right here. It's in black and white right here. It's a racketeering enterprise.
Oh, it's public service, Howie.
It's just
public service. They're such servants.
I know
to us.
they're doing well by doing good, as they say. Yes, we've all heard that many times here. All right, we're going to take a break, and again, the Kowloon. We're at the Kowloon in Saugus, Boston's premier Asian dining experience. Give yourselves a hand here. We have 400 people here. 400 people here. One of them, the guy right there, is Dolly Kyle's brother. See him over there? Wave your hand. Dolly Kyle, a guest on the Howie Carr show.
She was the good-looking one.
That's right. We got a lot of people here that we know, and we're happy to have see a lot of our old friends here today. But we'll be right back. I'm Howie Carr.
The paper boy with a big microphone. Howie Carr.
This half hour of the Howie Carr Show is powered by Simply Safe. Criminals are experts at taking advantage of you, but if you have a Simply Safe home security system, you don't have to worry about that. They offer 24/7 professional security monitoring for just $14.99 a month. Go to simplysafehowie.com right now to get free shipping on your order and a free keychain remote. Simplysafehowie.com. And he's in New Hampshire. Trump is in New Hampshire today. I think he's on his way to Maine now. He's going to Lisbon, Maine.
Excellent.
And we tried to get him on, and we couldn't get him on. Hope Hicks, his press person, was over the moon, obviously, about this, as you might expect. And when they got the word to him, he was speaking, and here's what he said: "Perhaps finally justice will be done." He said, as the crowd pumped fists and cheered. What did they cheer, folks? What did they cheer?
Lock her
up. Go ahead. Lock her up.
I love that cheer so much, particularly for how hysterical it makes the media.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. And look at this crowd. I mean, you're listening on radio. You can't see. They're the most beautiful, happy, cheerful people who wouldn't hurt a fly. They're cheering this happily. The media are such little scaredy cats. I really love that they're finally getting some hate directed back their way. I don't know if you saw it this week. Some CNN reporter was covering a Trump rally, and some of the Trump supporters, not quite as happy and cheerful as you all are, at least when they saw a CNN reporter. And CNN woman was so appalled. I mean, it's never happened to her before. Every time I go to a college campus, often when I just go to a restaurant in New York City, I have people cursing at me and yelling at me and chasing me. But this is the first time a reporter was getting it back from somebody, calling her a liar. They were so appalled. And I tweeted out, I'd watch CNN all day if they'd show nothing but these nice Americans yelling at CNN reporters.
Yeah. When O'Reilly used to work at Channel 7, he always said, "I'm so happy to be here in Boston because you only get like 1 out of 3 stand-ups ruined, by people behind you, as opposed to New York where it's like 3 out of 4." He said you used to have to go up on the top of the vans to do your live shots or your whatever your raps. If they used to do tapes in those days, because everybody would always be standing behind waving. And now these people, I couldn't believe it when I was reading these things, like they're being attacked. I mean, this is just part of TV news, I mean, talk about a bunch of morning glories.
I know, but this time the signs are saying things like Bill Clinton is a rapist, and they don't like that.
Yeah, no, they don't like. The only one who really likes that is Tucker Carlson. He starts laughing when he's on Fox. If you see him on Fox and Friends, where they come on behind him and they start yelling, "Bill Clinton is a rapist," and he goes, "Hey, we got a live one here." But listen, we don't know how good this news is, but this is another good omen for how good the news is that the investigation has been reopened. I'm reading from the Washington Post. As the news broke, the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped more than 150
Yay.
points. So, Ann, I don't understand. If Donald Trump is the candidate of the rich people and the millionaires, why is the Wall Street concerned that Hillary Clinton could have just taken a shot below the waterline?
Well, you know, it's always true, and it's always driven me crazy that Republicans are never the party of Wall Street. Wall Street is you know, psychologically, in every possible way, Wall Street is exactly the same as Hollywood. Wall Street is a street in New York City. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's does not have the politics of, you know, Wyoming. It's always been left-wing. But finally, Trump is really making that so clear. He is so the people of the working class, of the middle class. I mean, he's the only person to run for president in my lifetime, the only one who would, the only one you can conceive of who has come out for having hedge fund managers pay the same tax rate as, say, Ann Coulter does. And Hillary, he was absolutely right to nail Hillary on this in the debate. She says, oh, no, I support that, too. We said, why didn't you ever push it then? Why didn't you bring it up before? You were a senator.
It's like the TPP.
And John Kasich, well, that she's going to push through, as will Paul Ryan, like gangbusters. John Kasich at the debate, I quote this in Trump We Trust, it was, I almost fell off my chair. I remember this debate where Trump said, yes, I think hedge fund managers should pay the same as everyone else, which of course they should. It's a stupid loophole. Everyone knows it's unfair. Of course it should be eliminated. And John Kasich was asked what he thought, and he had some mumble-mouthed answer, well, I don't think we should change the incentives for investment. Oh, okay, but donate to me, Wall Street.
Well, he used to be a banker. He was an investment banker.
After
he was
all politicians who become bankers, it's just a form of corruption.
He was an influence
funneling money.
peddler.
Yeah, like Jeb. What do you neither of them can even do math. Come on.
Right. Well, you know, the other thing is...
They know people, and there's a possibility they'll be president someday and can really help out Goldman Sachs. No, it's just another example of our corrupt government.
So down on Wall Street, they're running around like chickens with their heads cut off today, right now as we speak. The stock market has gone down. And by the way, Ann, you know, who did Goldman Sachs send out the memo telling which candidate did they say, we don't want you contributing to this person?
You know,
was it Hillary Clinton or was it somebody else?
There's actually an explanation for this, and I've been citing this myself. It's because Pence is a governor. There's a rule that you can't contribute or you can't do business in the state.
Because of the bond?
That was the whole issue with that was why it was going to be trouble for Christie to raise money because he's a governor. It wasn't Trump. It was because Pence was on the ticket.
Okay. Well, so Ann wanted me to tell this story again because she hadn't heard it. But, you know, Donald Trump, as we know, earlier in the weekend. We'll get to the calls, by the way, at same number as always. We'll take some calls here. We don't have a call screener, so I'll just get the names as we go by. 1-844-500-4242. But earlier this week, Ann, you know, Trump took time out from his campaigning schedule to fly to New York, to fly to Washington, because he's opening a new hotel. He's been working on this hotel for years.
3 other events that day.
Yeah. So he goes to the hotel because he wants to do the ribbon cutting and take
Ivanka, by the way.
Right. So he goes there and they're, why is he taking time off? Is he giving up the campaign? Why? How dare he leave the campaign? And then it occurred to me, is there something going on in Syria, Ann?
I've heard there is.
Is there something?
Let's check with Gary Johnson.
I think it's called genocide, you know, ceasefires, Aleppo, a civil war, a red line. And yet the Secretary of State, who used to think that Bashar Assad was a great guy, a great reformer, he's been very generous to me, as he said. Is he working on the genocide? Is he working on Aleppo? No, he went to the Patriots game against the Steelers in Pittsburgh on Sunday, and then I'm sure he had a change of clothes at his second wife's first husband's trust fund mansion in Fox Chapel, and then he flies back to Boston for the private Rolling Stones concert at Foxborough Stadium, which Bob Kraft is having for like 100 of his nearest and dearest friends, $4 million.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't see anybody saying, where is John Kerry? How dare he adopt the lifestyles of the rich and famous when all these children. How many times have we seen pictures of these children with dust on their head on Aleppo?
Right.
I
still care more about American children, but he is the Secretary of State. And remember when Obama was in Martha's Vineyard, right after an American had his head chopped off, and Obama comes out, gives a little statement. Within 10 minutes, he's golfing.
Right, and how about the fact that how much crap did George Bush get when he didn't? He flew over Katrina and he was going to stop, he was going to land, and they said you'll screw up the relief efforts. They'll have to scramble too many people that could be delivering supplies to the people who have lost their houses, been flooded out. So he said, okay, we'll just move on. And so he's the worst guy in the world, right? He's a terrible racist. There was a hurricane in Florida. Was there not? I believe it was named Matthew. Who flew to and Louisiana? Who flew to Louisiana? Was it Hillary Clinton? Was it Barack Obama? No, I would believe it was a guy named Donald J. Trump, wasn't it? Yeah.
The real evidence I saw yesterday, the drop-dead proof of the media's bias is, I think it was on CNN, CNN or MSNBC, they were all seriously talking about how Hillary gives an amazing speech. That woman, we used to talk about Bill, but she is the speech maker of America. And within a few minutes, they were cutting to a Hillary Clinton, that screeching thing she does. Wait, you guys really are incapable of embarrassment if you can pass this off as a serious point.
Well, look at the emails. What do they got now? They got 65 members of the so-called press who are getting all their stories vetted by John Podesta before they even go to print. I mean, how ridiculous is this?
It is ridiculous. One reporter for the Politico said, I run my stories past everyone. He responded on Twitter. Well, he just did an interview with me, and not only did he not run it past me, he had a lot of things that were luckily provably untrue because he ran the entire transcript as a link if anyone was going to read it. But I was reading his summary of it and coming across things that I knew I didn't say because I don't believe them, and then I checked the transcript and he just misunderstood. The most interesting one was, I was thinking of writing a column about this, how liberals can't understand things because they keep trying to fit them into their insane views of the world. So we say we like living in America, we would like to keep America. They say you must be racist. So when I was making a point about how among the disadvantages of bringing in lots of people from very different cultures is they bring in different types of crimes. Our criminals we know how to deal with. Our criminals tend to be stupid. They leave their DNA all over the crime scene. Right. It's usually just for money. Now we're bringing in criminals who are staging these multi-million-dollar frauds against Medicare and Medicaid.
And EBT cards.
And
like
EBT cards. Yeah,
like
look at the names. They are not names you would have found in an American phone book in 1970. So anyway,
Anne reads her own books. She was talking about this earlier. She reads her own books, which is fun for her. But tell them what the toughest part of reading your own books is.
It's the foreign names, and that one paragraph. You'll see a lot of the outtakes from Adios America came from this one paragraph because I was trying to figure out how to capture the point I was just making, that so much of the fraud against government institutions or government programs, that this is money that's meant for our people, and the names. I noticed this over time, and I was thinking, how can I communicate this in a book? So I did a search for Medicare, Medicaid, I think food stamp within a sentence of fraud, for 1 month, November 2014, and then I collected every single name. It had to be an arrest or a conviction. I don't think I insisted on a conviction. There was not an American name there, and the list goes on for 1 month, November 2014. This is toward the end of Adios America, for about 2 pages. So when we got to that part of me reading the audio book of Adios America, my producers, they'd read a little bit ahead as I'm standing there reading it all. And they just burst out laughing when they saw that paragraph. This is going to take a week to get through this.
How about this one, Ann? I mentioned this with Pat Buchanan. Sanctuary City illegal immigrant sparks $61 million fire in National Forest. Angel Gilberto Garcia Avalos, that's an easy one.
Yeah,
by
not bad.
usual standards, has been deported 5 times in just the past 4 years, yet each time he's managed to sneak from Mexico back into the U.S. And now he set this fire. He's in the Sequoia National Forest that has already cost the government $61 million. So I read this to Pat Buchanan, and I said, is Hillary Clinton or any of the Democrats being asked about the supporting of open borders and causing where's
the Sierra Club?
Yeah, there were redwoods murdered by this illegal alien.
No, on that in Adios America, Americans have no idea what they're about to lose if they do not elect Donald Trump, and even then it's going to be a fight. But the rest of the world doesn't have this interest in preserving the environment that crazy Americans do. And I say that jokingly.
We don't need
obviously.
no stinking redwoods.
The redwoods, I have this in Adios America. They're huge pot farms. They're setting fires all the time. They're shooting people. There's graffiti all over national parks. They have to be shut down. And we can't mention it because they're immigrants and this is part of their culture.
You know what Pat Buchanan said when I read him this story? He said, can you imagine if that guy had been had ever met David Duke, who was an American? The national media would be chasing Kelly Ayotte up and down New Hampshire, asking her to denounce
David. I don't even think David Duke exists. I only hear about him every 4 years.
Well, he might as well exist, right? I mean,
exist, right?
He's a mythical figure.
I think
the
he died
Easter
20
Bunny.
Years ago.
Yeah, David Duke, the Easter Bunny, people like that. Okay, we're going to take a break here. Give yourselves a hand here at the Kowloon for Ann Coulter. And I think you could start going over there and start to sign some books. We're going to start signing some books. I'm Howie Carr.
The Howie Carr Show.
One 844 500-4242, 1-844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show if you'd like to join us. We're broadcasting live here today from the Kowloon in Saugus with Ann Coulter. And I'm going to do this segment by myself because Ann's down at the table signing books. Everybody that bought tickets gets a free copy of her new book, In Trump We Trust. And she's signing the books as we get up to the top of the hour. But we're here. By the way, if you're here at the Kowloon, last call for the buffet. How's the buffet? Is it as good as I say it is? But this is it. Your last chance if you want to have some more food from the Kowloon. Okay, so we're going to take some calls here, and again, after the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of New York and the Trump surrogate, and most importantly for this matter, he's a former U.S. attorney in New York, so maybe he can give us a little insight in what's going on here. Everybody is now reporting that the reopening of the investigation of the email servers is connected to Carlos Danger, Uma Abedin's reprobate husband, the former congressman, the perv. So everybody's happy. We're in a good mood. Let's take some calls here. Steve, who have we got on the line? Who have we got? Tom, you're next with Howie Carr at the Kowloon in Saugus. Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, hi, Howie. I had finished Ann's book, Adios America, and I thought one of the things that really struck me is when you read that book, you have a conundrum. You say to yourself, well, here you've got guards at nuclear power plants. You've got TSA for billions of dollars at our airports. You have millions of people pouring up the border who you don't know who they are. The only thing I could think of is, I said, well, in the Roman Empire, what they had is the barbarians into the Syrians, but that was a big mistake. But they at least had lead in their waters, which... Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, they had reasons too for letting in the barbarians. I mean, they wanted to add them to their military. I mean, what are these people contributing to us? I just don't understand it. I think about this every time I go through the security gates at the airport. Like you said, we have wide open borders. Everybody who wants to come in can come in. They're letting in unvetted Syrian refugees. They don't give a bleep who they are. Hillary Clinton has said in those WikiLeaks emails that Jordan has no way of vetting anybody. So if Jordan can't vet them next door, how the hell are we vetting them? So, but yet on the other hand, they have to make me take off my shoes. They have to make me, point to my right hip, where I have the where I have the artificial hip, so they can wand me down. It's like a religious ceremony. I really feel like I'm going to church. This is the church of political correctness. I'm going through the not through the gateway, but through the security gate. We'll take some more calls when we come back. I'm Howie Carr.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
A big deal, and we've just confirmed this at Fox News. We have a copy of the letter. I have it right here from James Comey, the FBI director, sending this to Congress, that the criminal investigation of Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State, is back on.
Unchained and unstoppable.
So that is a big announcement that I heard 10 minutes ago. Perhaps finally justice will be done. We must not let her take her criminal scheme into the Oval Office. I have great respect for the fact that the FBI and the Department of Justice are now willing to have the courage to right the horrible mistake that they made.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
In spite of the politically motivated attacks against the Affordable Care Act that have been launched by Republicans, the American people are benefiting from the law. And they would benefit even more from the law if Republicans would finally decide to do something other than just score political points.
Who do you love? Howie Carr.
People don't change because we swear them into the White House. They become that person big time. And the Clintons were raising money like this, hand over fist back in 1996 using, we call it Motel 6. They were hoarding them in, pulling them in by trainloads of contributors and then letting them sit in a Lincoln bedroom for a while, then charge them by the hour. This is what they did before. This is what they do. You can still vote for Hillary Clinton, but remember, you're getting this as part of the package.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
All right, we're broadcasting here today with Ann Coulter, live from the Kowloon. Give yourselves a hand, everybody. We have a full house here. Ann just signed probably about 100 books in those 2 breaks that we took.
And more to go. Thank you for letting me do it.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. And again, if you couldn't make it to the Kowloon today, if you're in Western Mass, you're in the Springfield area, you can see Ann and me tomorrow at the Hukilau. We'll be there from noon until 3 o'clock at the Hukilau in Chicopee, and we'll be doing the same kind of show. You can get a book, and you can get it autographed by Ann. And instead of doing a radio show, we'll have video clips, and we'll be commenting on the video clips.
That'll be fun.
That'll be fun. But it's the same setup. Just go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on events. HowieCarrShow.com. Click on events. And by the way, everybody here in Saugus, we have here. What do we have here? We have the Hillary bobblehead doll in pinstripes. Yes, we have a few.
Prison stripes.
Yes, we have a few. We have a few left here, and they're for sale right down there. So you can get them now before you leave. We just wanted to clear them out. Here, Jared, take it away. It's even got a cankle bracelet there too. So feel free to
Yes, the doll is way svelter than she is.
Yes, it is. It is.
Just if we're not going for realism with that bobblehead.
No, we're not. This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Piantadosi Baking Company, celebrating 100 years of baking excellence since 1916. And we have been big-footed by Rudy Giuliani. He's not going to be with us, I think.
At all?
No, he's going to be with us at 6:30. But we're going to be gone by 6:30. You and I.
Oh, drat!
He's going to be with Kurt Schilling at 6:30 tonight on the show. That's too bad. But I assume
what's he doing?
I assume Fox or Fox Business or somebody like that.
You have more listeners than any show on Fox Business, and I would venture to say Fox Daytime.
If he had called me rather than Steve, I would have said, "Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Right, but he didn't call me, so he's canceled. But if you're listening later on to the show this evening, you'll be able to hear Rudy Giuliani's take on the latest developments here. As you know, the email investigation has been reopened, and the Hillary Clinton email investigation has been reopened.
This is the problem with
Go ahead.
people who don't pay attention to how many people are actually watching or listening. I remember when I was first putting books out, the big desideratum of every publisher was, we got to get you on the Larry King show. And Drudge kept emailing me and saying he has like 200 viewers. Yeah, that was big 10 years ago when there wasn't a Fox News or MSNBC. And I mean, things have changed even since then. You have to see how many people are actually listening. No, you're pretty big, Howie.
Thank you. Well, how about the Larry King overnight radio show? That was a biggie. I'd rather be on the Trucker show than that old radio show, doing the Big 10-4 to everybody out there on I-5. Listen, so one of the guys that's here at the Kowloon showed me while you were signing the books he brought in when Carlos Danger was busted. Remember this? This was almost exactly 2 months ago. He was caught, sending the X-rated text to the young woman in North Carolina.
With his baby.
With his baby, yeah. And it was just nasty on any number of different levels. And so Uma finally left him. She finally went out. And so Donald Trump issued a statement, and this guy found it in the, in the Twitter universe. This is what he said when Uma left Carlos Danger. This Donald Trump. I only worry for the country in that Hillary Clinton was careless and negligent in allowing Weiner to have such close proximity to highly classified information. Who knows what he learned and who he told? Mm-hmm. Talk about prescient.
Yeah.
He called it. That's it right there. The networks aren't going to mention that tonight, of course. He called what the problem was.
They'll still be upset that he visited his hotel this week.
Right. Yeah. Well, there is
on
the investigation.
His way to an event in North Carolina.
The investigation has been reopened, but what about the fact that he took 45 minutes off from the campaign trail? And by the way, Mr. Secretary Kerry, how were the Rolling Stones? I kept asking them to play "You've Got a Friend," but they didn't seem to know what it was.
Yeah, another one of Donald Trump's great promises. Remember when there was some important Secretary of State meeting and John Kerry got in a bicycle accident? So Donald Trump promised, if president, he would never ride a bike, and then luckily for us, he modified the promise. No, I'll just never ride a bike. How about that?
Yeah, and he's got the pink. John Kerry's got the pink girly bike. Have you ever seen that down on Nantucket?
Does he wear a helmet?
No, he doesn't wear a helmet. When he's in the parking lot in Nantucket at the docks, he doesn't wear a helmet. He's riding. I mean, he's having like a tough time. I mean, you keep going. Gee, get the trainer wheels on this thing. You know, he's going to hurt. Poor guy's going to hurt himself. He's going to break his other ankle when he falls off the bike. But anyway, we're not going to be able to take any calls for a while. We're having an audio problem back. There's a feedback here at the Kowloon. So, Ann, you and I are going to have to talk and just
Why aren't we taking questions from the audience?
We could.
Why don't you write questions down? Jared can go through them and we'll read the questions. That's a good one. We have all these lovely people here. They're obviously politically aware. Sorry, didn't mean to.
No, that's fine. I'm just thinking
I bet they're smart questions.
If we had a mic, if we had like a portable mic, we could just go around and take. Do we have any?
But if you have napkins, you can write them on the napkins.
10 minutes. In 10 minutes, we're going to start taking questions.
Yeah, because I got to say, I love taking questions from the audience because the audiences are going to be smart and have smart questions.
Well, and before I just had these things there. I told you about the Sanctuary City guy.
Yes.
That burned down $61 million worth of redwoods and sequoias and cedars.
Whole chapter on it in Adios America.
Nothing to see here, though, folks. Move along here. How about this one?
Wait, can I tell you before we go on to the next one? Never mind.
Now you piqued my interest, Ann. What did you want to say?
Okay, I'm going to say it. At the risk of the names I'll be called by liberals. So I read this incredibly touching story last night. Actually, there are two stories I'll tell you very quickly. One was, and I'll tell it quickly, there was a black bear got lost in a residential neighborhood in Florida. And, you know, because we're Americans, we wanted to save the black bear. So some guy swam out. Oh, they hit him with a tranquilizer dart, but it doesn't kick in right away. So the bear ran out into the water. He runs into the ocean. And now the tranquilizer dart kicks in. So he's being sedated now. He's about to drown. He's a 400-pound bear.
It's like Natalie Wood.
And an American male jumps into the water, rescues the bear, just like he's rescuing a human, paddles him in. It was so heavy they couldn't even put him on a boat. They ended up getting a tractor carrying him in. They get him on back and send him back to the woods, and the guy is scratching the bear's back on the way in. And I'm sorry, I think of this a lot these days after looking at what's happening to the country. Is there any other country where people would do that? Is there any other group of people who would do that? When we were in Alaska, I don't know if you know, they have earthquakes all the time in Alaska, and we saw this huge one they had in Anchorage in, I think it was 1954, but you can still see these huge, I mean, like 10 feet down, the ripples in the ground, and they told this sweet story about, well, not such a sweet story. At first, this family, the Henderson family, they're sitting at their dinner table, the earthquake smashes out from under them. The woman falls down into the basement. Husband grabs her leg, pulls her out. They have 2 kids. They just sat down to dinner. And they ended up surviving. She did with a broken leg. It was a big residential area, just complete, massive. It was an earthquake higher than they had a Richter scale for, right under this residential neighborhood. And the reason only like 2 people died from that neighborhood, because the local Boy Scout troop had just taken a class in rappelling. And they went and they rescued them. And again, I'm sorry, are they doing that in Guatemala? Are they doing that in Yemen? It is such an American story. And, yeah, Yemenis and Guatemalans can come in and be good Boy Scouts and rescue black bears, but not in the numbers we're taking them in. We're just turning ourselves into Yemen and Guatemala. That's why the largest
I think a lot of people get it.
Restrictionist group in the country is not called, Mexicans suck. It's called Numbers USA. It's about the numbers, and this has been going on for 50 years now.
Okay, and I just one more story for you, Ann. Texas soccer coach, an undocumented immigrant, accused of abusing 8 players. He's only abusing the soccer players that Americans can't be bothered abusing.
How old are they?
They're just says children, just children.
Boys between the age of 10 and 15. Read Adios America, and this will not surprise you.
Nashua businessman facing new charges for alleged rape at this
Nashua
store.
businessman.
Nashua businessman.
Okay, this is one that would be in the outtakes of Adios America. Let me try to pronounce it for you, the Nashua businessman's name. Abhishek Sachdev.
Take 2.
Okay, we're getting the Bosnian over here to read it.
1-844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
That's right, Howie Carr.
Today's poll question is brought to you by Simply Safe. Criminals are experts at taking advantage of you, but if you have a Simply Safe home security system, you don't have to worry about that. They offer 24/7 professional security monitoring for just $14.99 a month. Go to simplysafehowie.com now to get free shipping on your order and a free keychain remote. Simplysafehowie.com. Steve, what is the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Will the new developments in the FBI's investigation of Hillary Clinton end her political career?
I hope so. Yes.
56% say no.
56% say no. Okay. I'll tell you, here's you know Paul Krugman? He's one of the Pajama Boy columnists for the New York Times.
Oh, yes.
Yes, he's a Nobel laureate. Yes, that's Nobel laureate. Wow.
He does have one good point.
What's that?
His good point is that the stimulus money would have been well spent just hiring Americans to dig a hole and fill it up again. And the reason I say that's a good point is, hey, as long as they're digging, how about a wall? Would that be good?
I
mean,
agree.
Seriously, that is something, an undersold virtue of the wall. I support it. I don't care what it costs. I don't care who pays for it. That is another thing that Trump is just taunting the media about. Who cares if Mexico pays for it? It's just because they said it couldn't be done that now, oh no, they are sure paying for it now. All we have to do is take it out of the foreign aid we give to them. But
how about just putting a tax on the remittances from the Western Union?
We give them about the amount of money. We give them in foreign aid about the amount of money it would cost. It's the easiest thing in the world to do.
Anyway, Paul Krugman is having a nervous breakdown here. They're bringing in grief counselors into the New York Times newsroom after these developments today.
That's interesting.
Paul Krugman says, so this is not about Clinton sent emails, not about her server found on the Wiener device.
It's about Russia.
Yeah, Russia. Yeah, that's right. You're right. Russia did it. Russia did it. Russia did it. And then Krugman's all excited. 2 reactions. 1, oh my God. Number 2, if Comey had said this is in the letter, and why couldn't he? The firestorm would have been largely avoided. Who's having a firestorm? You know, he's the one who soiled his diapers. None of the rest of us have. We're just having a good time here. Matt, we are having a problem with our phone lines back. We're getting the calls, but they're just not. They're not doing well here at the Kowloon. So we're going to take some audience reactions from the people here at the Kowloon.
That's why you should come to the Kowloon, listeners.
There you go, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Goodwin, and I'm a faithful listener from Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Thank you. Thank you for
hello
coming
to
on.
all of you, Grace, Howie, Ann, love you. I haven't heard this mentioned much, and it bothers me. Why do people think, and I do not mean this in a sexist manner at all, that Mideastern leaders are going to even listen to the likes of Hillary Clinton when women are treated lower than animals and trash? I don't hear it discussed.
That's why I'm sending my dear friend James Taylor over to Raqqa before the final assault on the Daesh headquarters.
Well, I don't think she's particularly opposed to the Saudi ruling family. So what do they care?
As long as the check clears.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how much money has she gotten from the Saudis? How much money has she gotten from Qatar?
I mean, it's a good point. I don't mean to
you?
dismiss the point. It's just that we see the rest of America sees a lot of Middle Eastern leaders as an enemy. No, the ruling party in our country doesn't. Can we make money off of them?
How about the fact, too, that none of these Arab leaders are willing to take in any of these refugees?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know they're going into Turkey, they're going into Lebanon, they're going into Jordan, but I mean the really rich oil wealthy countries, they refuse to take any of these people in.
No, and why wouldn't those be the countries that the refugees want to go to? Because apparently they're just walking off the gangplank in this country, and boy, do they have grievances against us. Oh, the Islamophobia. If you want to stay away from white devils, these Islamophobic white devils, I know, go to one of the 50 countries in the world that are majority Muslim. Wouldn't that be simpler? Why can't we help people in situ? I mean...
And it's much cheaper, too.
It
costs, like, what, 1/5 as much to take care of a refugee there
of course.
than it does to bring them over here.
But this idea that we must constantly be at war in the Middle East, and no one, and those of you who listen to me on Howie or read my stuff will remember, no one was a bigger fan of the Iraq War than I was. I was a fan of it after I think Rumsfeld was getting tired of it. But Obama came in my opinion, he stole defeat from the jaws of victory. But whether I'm right or whether people who were always opposed to it were right, that it never could have worked, it didn't work in the end. Why would you do that again? It's because these people want war to distract you from the fact that they're transforming America and to keep the military contractors rich.
If you want to talk, just go to Jared and he'll take your calls, give you the mic. We're here. I'm Howie Carr. 1-844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show if you'd like to join us here this afternoon, every weekday afternoon. Is everybody having a good time here at the Kowloon? And you'll be able to get your book signed after this segment. Ann will be signing more books for this side of the room, and we've got tons.
Did we finish that side? Yay! No.
They haven't finished all of them, but
okay.
we'll just keep going. We'll just keep
somebody
working
knows
on it.
where it
We'll keep working on it,
picks up.
getting all the books signed before everybody leaves. If you want to see Ann tomorrow at the Hookie Lau in Chicopee, tickets are still available. Go to HowieCarrShow.com, click on events. We've still got some tickets from. We'll be there from noon to 3. We won't be doing a show, but we will be doing live video clips, and so it'll be the same deal. You'll get a nice buffet. You'll get a nice copy of Ann's new book, "In Trump We Trust." It's a good time. We're having a great time here, and they're really flipping out these texters and these not the texters, the tweeters. From the tweeters from the
You're like
New
Anderson
York.
Cooper.
I know. I know. Paul Krugman is just he really is having a nervous breakdown. The bed has been fouled and it can't be unfouled. And then they have Matt Iglesias. This is the guy who's been trying to erase all of his earlier tweets from 2013 this week, saying that Obamacare was a smashing success. He's been trying to erase them all. So he took the time out, though, now to attack the FBI. What if the FBI tried to communicate clearly with the public rather than talking off the record to Pete Williams? That's the guy from NBC News. Paul Krugman. Does this have anything to do with HRC? Oh, no. He's so sad. He's so sad.
I like the idea that agents communicating secretly with the media, ooh, that's a bad thing. Well, no, they wouldn't have to do that if their director were not corrupt. They spoke off the record because they were so enraged by what Comey was doing.
Right.
Being bought by Hillary.
Yeah.
And not just Hillary. I mean, what's happened, what makes all of politics so corrupt right now is the power of the press. I suspected Comey. I kept hearing, I don't know if you kept hearing this, but from, people pretending to have inside information. Oh, he's going to have the goods on Hillary. She's going to call for an indictment.
He's a straight arrow.
And I
He's
said,
Dudley Do-Right.
no, he won't, because no one wants to go through what Ken Starr went through. I mean, I would. I enjoy being hated, but most people don't. And the media is so. I mean, look at how they're treating Donald Trump, and most people don't like that, which is why you have to spot Trump a few points on the polls for people who won't admit it. Are you voting for Hitler?
Right. This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Carr Guys. Do what I did and what Grace did and call the Carr Guys today to get a great used car. Call their new number, 800-300-4600. And we have we have another person here. Again, we're taking calls from we're taking audience response from the audience because
they're calling
we're having a
in
problem.
on cell phones.
We're having a problem with the phone lines back in Boston. So go ahead.
Hi, Brendan Spades. I'm from Tingsboro, Massachusetts. All my liberal friends tell me that there's no voter fraud going on, and therefore there's no problem to be seen here. And I just wonder what your views are on the issue of voter fraud.
I'm glad you brought this up, Brendan. I just happened to hold in my hand here another story. We come back to the recurring theme of Ann not being able to pronounce the people's names who were involved in the voter fraud. Would you like to take another try? Would you like to take another try there, Ann?
Vafale Massaquoi.
Man charged with filing fake voter registration applications in Virginia. He's a former resident. At least they called him a former resident.
And applications. I noticed that is plural.
A former resident of Alexandria, Virginia, is facing up to 40 years in prison after he allegedly used fake names to fill out voter registration applications. And his name is Vafale Massaquoi, 30, and he is 4 felony charges. Nothing about his immigration status, though.
On the voter fraud, on the voter fraud issue, I wrote about this in Muggs. Whenever liberals don't have a proper argument for you, if they have no response, they scream racism. One of the first, it may have been the first voter ID laws in the country was passed nearby here in Rhode Island, and who pushed it? 2 black Democrats, one in the House, one in the Senate. The black woman in the House, I quote her in the book, she said she went to vote with her daughter one year and they'd been told they had already voted. The next year she went to vote, and she said, I'm standing out in the parking lot, and I see an Hispanic guy go in, vote, come back, change his clothes, and go back to vote again. And I remembered this quote because she had this great quote saying, and I particularly remembered him because he was hot. So, you know, then the Democrats start screaming. Of course, they don't like photo ID. It has nothing to do with race. They want to be able to steal elections. So what do? They claim racism. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz, you know, had to be on the phone with all these Democrats around the country and state legislatures trying to pass photo ID laws to protect their own elections, saying, shh, keep it on down low. Don't say anything. I do know a fair number, but probably a lot of you don't know, Democrats or Republicans now who used to be Democrats. I know people who stole elections. I know how they do it. It's massive. It's huge. It's not always somebody going in. It's not always something that's going to be stopped by photo ID. What they do in Chicago, and again, I know a guy who used to do this, is they wait and see how many votes they need. That's why Chicago is always the last to report. St. Louis, Missouri is the last to report. Bridgeport, they wait and see how many, and if it's only like 5,000, they'll just vote for everybody. They've already gotten everybody signed up, and they generally do it from Cabrini Green. So if anyone, if you had poll watchers there, huge, horrible, crime-ridden, it's been knocked down since then, a housing project, if anybody said, oh, come on, there was not 100% voting from Cabrini Green. Greenwich, Connecticut doesn't vote at 100%. They just sit back and say, you want to go ask them?
You know how they used to do it in Boston? And I used to watch them do this when I worked at Boston City Hall. They had punch cards in those days. So you weren't stealing somebody else's votes. You were
spoiling it.
You were ruining someone else's. So if there was if your foe had a punch card here, what you would do is take the ballot and then you would punch the second one. So then the ballot would be no good. And
that's what they did in Florida, and I don't know if you remember this from Florida. The funny thing was when it was a vote for both Bush and Gore, or no vote for Gore. That's what it was. There was no vote for president, but the rest of it was for Democrats. Their argument was, well, obviously this person meant to vote for Gore because all the other votes were for Democrats. Well, no, I think that proves they knew how to do it and weren't voting for president. But if there was a vote for both Bush and Gore and then all Republicans, they'd just say, spoiled.
Yeah, you know, another way they used to do it was this was a long time ago. They would give stickers if you were running on a sticker campaign. So if you defeated the incumbent on stickers, they would they would demand a recount, and then they would take all the ballots down to like a steam room where there was like hot water radiators, and they would turn up the radiator till like 150 degrees until at least enough of the stickers would fall off. They've stolen elections that way. You're right.
And we know it was stolen in Minnesota.
There's a million different ways to steal an election.
Right. What they did with Minnesota and Al Franken, Norm Coleman went to sleep that night about, I think, 700 votes ahead, and then it was close enough. There was a recount, and the only jurisdictions that kept finding more votes were the heavily Democrat ones, because Republicans, they're good government types. They're honest. No, let's count this honestly. No, Democrats are just finding, oh, look, we found all these additional ballots. And I mean, it was so obvious that it was fraudulent. I emailed my friend John Lott, the great economist, and I said, hey, would you look at this, please? You're an economist. I'm not. And he looked at it, and he wrote some articles and talked about it. He said, this is a statistical impossibility. This cannot be happening. We also have found out since then that more than 1,000 felons voted. In the end, Al Franken, quote, won by like 200 votes. Well, he was the 51st vote for Obamacare. Yeah, election fraud is a problem.
Yeah. And elections have consequences.
Yeah, you should all vote, and you should all participate in any poll watching.
Got another person who wants to speak here at the Kowloon. He's here today with me and Coulter. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Bob from Marblehead, and I guess this is for the vets. I'm just curious, how many vets do we have in the audience? Raise your hand.
Wow. No wonder this is such a good audience.
Okay, I'm a 30-year vet.
Is every man in this room a vet? That's amazing.
I'm a 30-year vet, and we all took the same oath, and you guys remember it and gals remember it, to preserve and protect the Constitution of the United States. The question is, how does General Powell and Seth Baker, who is our representative for the 6th District.
Seth Moulton.
I'm sorry, Seth Moulton. How does he support Hillary Clinton?
Well, I personally am not wild about some of the top management in the military. I think that gets corrupted like so many other things. I prefer the lower
ranks.
Yeah, but I think Trump is right. He has some good generals on his side, but I think a lot of the generals are awful.
At what point?
Politico. How about that guy Michael Hayden, for example, the one with the high squeaky voice who goes on Fox News? This is one of the many ways Trump has made my life better. All these people who were technically on our side, so I had to pretend I liked, but I always really secretly hated. They're all never Trumpers now, and Michael Hayden is one of them. He was the one who went on TV after the Boston Marathon bombing and said, we need people like this in our country. It's part of our job as the military to get more folks like this in our country. Really, the ones who blow up the Boston Marathon? He is, of course, one of the never Trumpers. A lot of them, they're in it for themselves and the money.
Speaking of Colin Powell, though, I mean,
and to get on TV.
At what point do we get to say stop referring to Colin Powell as a Republican? And can we say he's a former Republican? You know, I mean, when was the last time he voted for a Republican? And was anybody surprised when he announced after his WikiLeaks come out, he hates Hillary Clinton. He realizes she's a grifter. She's costing him big money by sucking up all these $250,000 speaking fees. And yet, in the end, he announces he's going to vote for her.
You know the person I really feel sorry for this year? Christy Todd Whitman. She has totally been displaced by all these other, quote, Republicans going on to denounce the nominee. She's got to be sitting at home. Hey, MSNBC, my number hasn't changed. I'm still here. No, she used to be the reliable Republican who would always denounce fellow Republicans. Now it's basically the entire party except Trump and the actual voters in the party.
Well, she's a friend of Bill Weld, who many people in this room who hasn't seen Bill Weld stumbling around the last call. Yeah, exactly. We've all seen it. We got another person who wants to ask a question. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Elena from Dorchester.
All right.
And my question is, many of my liberal friends don't trust that Trump will fight for the average American. They say that he is as rich and corrupt as the rest of them. Although I know in my heart that he cares about America's well-being, how can I explain this to others?
He's just given up $400 million to run for president. Start with that. And I have some quotes in my book. I didn't know much about Trump before he ran and opened it with that magnificent Mexican rapist speech, winning my heart forever. But I went back after he started talking about trade and immigration. And, I mean, the only policies he's pursuing are the ones that will help Americans. Hillary's pushing through Trans-Pacific Partnership. The moment she gets in office, Paul Ryan is signing it. He got a standing ovation telling the Koch brothers he was for it. She called it the gold standard. But anyway, when I started looking back at Trump's history, he did have some cliched, sort of conventional wisdom things to say on most politics. He was busy making money, like a lot of rich people. If you're not going to read up on politics, please just hang on my every word. But the one thing that was absolutely consistent with Trump is always putting Americans first, including this lovely story I have in the book about Anna Lee Hill. Anyway, a woman whose farm, it was going, family farm, been in the family for 5 generations, and it was going under because they had a Georgia peach farm. They had a few bad seasons, and he just saw her on, I don't know, Good Morning America or something. And he called her up right after the program and said, we're going to save the farm. I'm pledging $25,000 right now. I'm going to start a whirlwind campaign. I'm going to raise the rest of the money for this farm. Saved the family farm, and he went on, you know, I get kind of annoyed with him for going on Howard Stern, but he raised a lot of the money by going on Howard Stern. He does have a high public profile. He contributed money. Other great Americans contributed money. And by Christmas time, they were burning the mortgage in the lobby of Trump Tower, and the whole family had dinner with the Trump family. And even at the time, and this was 25 years ago. And what was his quote to the newspapers? He said, we send all this money to foreigners who don't care less about us. Why don't we take care of the American farmer? That's 25 years ago.
And if the Clintons care so much about the average person, and this is why they've set up their foundation. How come that foundation is on every charity watch list there is?
Right? I mean, I am sure when he is president, I'll be coming on your show. We'll be denouncing him for this or that thing he does. But the one thing I am sure of is that he loves Americans. He loves America. He is very patriotic. Yeah, he'll make mistakes. There will be disagreements. There are with anybody. But he instincts on the right judgment, and boy, she doesn't.
All right, with us is Ann Coulter. Ann's going to go down and start signing some more books. So if you want some books from either side of the hall here, come on down, and Ann will be signing your books. And we'll be right back. I'm Howie Carr.
There's only one Howie Carr.
Hold on 1 second. Here he comes, Steve. He's just talking to the fans.
Howie's not by the mic.
No,
Big
I'm here.
surprise.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm talking to the fans. Everybody's busy here. This is a remote, and we're going to take some more calls. Anybody here who wants to ask a question of me, get Jared here. Where is Jared? Is he around with the? He's around. Has he got anybody? You got anybody that wants to talk there?
Not yet, Howie.
Okay, he's going to find somebody. This is one of my favorite WikiLeaks from the last 24 hours. From Jennifer Palmieri. She's the one who doesn't like Catholics very much. We're in a severely backward religion. To John Podesta. This is from August of 2015. Was getting my hair cut and trying to write all this on an iPhone. I think you should call her, meaning Hillary Clinton, and sober her up some. Sober her up some. This is at 4:31 in the afternoon. 4:31. That's about what time is here now. We're a little later than that, but it's basically the same time. How many at 4:31 in the afternoon? Hillary Clinton is apparently one. Okay, how about this one? This 978 says, Howie, this show with Ann Coulter needs to go national so everyone can hear it. Well, you know who did hear it? He was riding around Maine earlier this afternoon. Donald Trump was listening to the show, and he was enjoying it. Give yourselves a round of applause. He could have phoned in, and he could have told Rudy Giuliani, who cares if they want you on the Fox News channel? You made a commitment to the Howie Carr show for 4 o'clock, but we'll have him on later in the evening. I'll be gone, but Kurt Schilling will be filling in for me at 6 o'clock, and Rudy Giuliani will be on there. And you can't believe how this guy Paul Krugman, the Pajama Boy columnist for the New York Times. The announcement, meaning about the investigation being reopened, has done measurable damage to the Clinton campaign, which was predictable. Comey behavior inexcusable. So he brooms the case. A criminal case, a no-brainer, and that was great. But now he's reopened it, and it's inexcusable. This is the second time he's put a finger on the scale without charges. Not okay. Oh. Calm down, Paul. Calm down.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
A big deal, and we've just confirmed this at Fox News. We have a copy of the letter. I have it right here from James Comey, the FBI director, sending this to Congress that the criminal investigation of Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State, is back on.
Unchained and unstoppable.
So that is a big announcement that I heard 10 minutes ago. Perhaps finally justice will be done. We must not let her take her criminal scheme into the Oval Office. I have great respect for the fact that the FBI and the Department of Justice are now willing to have the courage to right the horrible mistake that they made.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
In spite of the politically motivated attacks against the Affordable Care Act that have been launched by Republicans, the American people are benefiting from the law. And they would benefit even more from the law if Republicans would finally decided to do something other than just score political points.
Who do you love? Howie Carr.
People don't change because we swear them into the White House. They become that person big time. And the Clintons were raising money like this, hand over hand over fist back in 1996 using, we call it Motel 6. They were hoarding them in, pulling them in by train loads of contributors and then letting them sit in a Lincoln bedroom for a while, then charge them by the hour. This is what they did before. This is what they do. You can still vote for Hillary Clinton, but remember, you're getting this as part of the package.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
All right, we're having a great time here this afternoon at the Kowloon in Saugus. Give yourselves a round of applause. We got 400 people in here to see me and Ann Coulter. They're all getting their books signed. That's part of the deal. You get the free where you got the buffet. You got the book, her new book, In Trump We Trust. And we're here for one more hour. And if you want to get your book signed by Ann, now's the chance to do it. Now's the time to do it before we have to leave. There's another event that's going to start here at 6:00 this evening. So we're going to have to get out of here at 6:00 right away. But the show will go on, of course. Kurt Schilling will be filling in for me for the last hour, and Rudy Giuliani will be on about 6:30 today. He had to change his times, I guess, because of breaking news developments with the reopening of the investigation. And so we're going to be talking about that. We also have Police Blotter Facts Friday here that we're going to do today. Grace is here. Give Grace a round of applause. And by the way, if you missed it today and you say, gee, that sounds like they're having a great time, you can do it tomorrow if you're in Western Mass. Come by the Hukilau in Chicopee, that's Springfield basically, and the Hukilau is a Chinese restaurant, and you can go there and get a ticket, and same deal, you get a book, you get a buffet, and you'll see me and Ann. Instead of doing a radio show, we'll be doing like video clips, I guess.
And there will be a few more first editions of some of my last books until now.
So so you can get you've got them. They're available. They're being sold right now in the here at the Kowloon, but we'll have a few left for tomorrow. So come on down. You can go to HowieCarrShow.com, click on events, and you can order your tickets right now. And we're having a good time. We're seeing a lot of our old friends here. I just introduced Ann to one of the guys, one of the cops, the local cops here, who's
my hero.
This is the guy who is trying to train every cop in Massachusetts how to spot what he calls imposters. These are the people with the
illegal aliens.
They're illegal aliens with the Puerto Rican birth certificates. They all claim that's how they do it. That's the key. You see somebody.
Oh, I can spot them.
You're getting yourself into trouble with the racial profiling thing. You ask, where are you from in Puerto Rico? And then they tell you, how many stars on the Puerto Rican flag?
Puerto Ricans are tall and good looking.
They're hot, right?
They're hot.
Isn't that what the person said?
Right,
the
they're
person
hot.
from Rhode Island, the state rep from Rhode Island said. All right, this hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Perfect Smiles. Don't be fooled by imposters with similar names. Go to Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. That's perfectsmiles.com. By the way, we got an interesting text here about what Krugman's doing. Krugman, this columnist for the New York Times, is having this nervous breakdown about this reopening of the investigation.
Wait, you read this? I'm guessing. I'm laughing out loud at this from the WikiLeaks.
Well, go ahead.
From Jennifer Palmieri. I just sent
to Podesta.
Was getting my hair cut and trying to write all this on an iPhone. I think you should call her and sober her up some.
Well, it's even funnier when you look at the timestamp on it, Ann. 4:31 in the afternoon.
Wow.
Who does she think she is, officer? An illegal alien? Drunk at 4:30 in the afternoon?
She's a Chappaqua woman.
But anyway, 508 says, with these tweets, what Krugman is doing is what psychologists call kicking the cat. They can't punish the person you're angry with, so you go home and you kick the cat.
Oh.
I think he's onto
like
something.
that.
Krugman is actually angry with Hillary because her corruption is preventing her from cementing Barack's policies and ushering in a liberal utopia. See, he's just saying, even if it's only 3, the damage has been done. The headlines are out there. The investigation has been reopened. Oh no!
See, I'm maybe I'm too conspiracy minded, but I mean, I have been wondering how the media is going to pull back. If I'm right that it's at least 50-50 right now, I think it's a little more than 50-50 that Trump wins. I've never seen the media behave like this before.
Give yourselves a hand. Do you think you agree with Ann?
No, I really do. I mean, people are getting fired. That poor guy with the beer. Did you see there's a guy who makes some beer? I forget the name of it. I wish I could.
Oh, the Youngling guy. Youngling.
Okay.
Yeah, Youngling
he comes out
beer.
for Trump, and there's an article in like the Philly Inquirer calling for a boycott of this guy's beer. We know
he's been in business. The Youngling beer has been in business for like 200 years.
We know people who have been fired for being vociferous Trump supporters. Just last night, a friend of mine told me he was talking to a friend of his, longtime friend. And the guy's saying to him, "You're not seriously going to vote for Trump, are you? Are you?" And this friend is kind of a pussy, so he wouldn't just do what I'd say and say,
"There's
well,
the
yes,
P
I
word.
am."
There's the P word. She said it.
But
she can't be president.
I'm using it in an appropriate way. You know, that's the one thing that upsets me about the Trump tapes. I was trying to bring the P word back, and I was so close. But anyway, he wouldn't just come out and say, "I'm not voting," or I'm voting for Trump. He'd just say, "Well, you have to say he's right on the issues. He's right on trade. He's right on the wall." But he was too afraid to tell one of his long-term friends he's voting for Trump. So, I mean, is anybody afraid to say he's voting for Hillary? No, of course not.
Well, who's the
but
you
if
saw what
we're
happened.
right,
yeah.
how is the media going to explain having spent a month saying she's 10 points up? It's going to be a 50-state sweep. Well, it could be if they put out something like this and, there was a scandal. We couldn't help it. Krugman's already backing off his prediction. You're ruining this wonderful candidacy. Are these emails any worse than the last ones?
It's 1984,
yes.
and the Ministry of Truth changes on a dime. Remember, you can't trust anything a government agency tells you because Bush lied and people died. Right. Remember that? But now all the same agencies are saying that the
Russians did it.
The Russians did it, and we have to believe them. We have to believe them, right? We can't remember what they were telling us, a year ago.
So this could just be the media backing away from their insane predictions on Hillary winning her 50-state sweep.
Never mind. The Chump Line. The Chump Line is the voicemail messaging service of the Howie Carr Show. It's brought to you every day at this time by Matthews Brothers. Where's Bob Maines? There's Bob Maines. He's the guy that does the ads for the Chump Line for Matthews Brothers. There he is, taking the pictures. He's taking your picture, you can get with me and Ann tonight if you're a VIP. Matthews Brothers Maine-made windows are available only through Better Lumber Yards and window professionals like Deering Lumber, serving southern and coastal Maine with 3 convenient locations in Biddeford, Kennebunk, and Springvale. Deering Lumber, locally owned since 1866. We have some people here from Kennebunkport, right? Yeah, there they are. Give yourselves a hand.
And trip the Bush family.
Walker
Step
Point.
on their feet.
Walker Point, they call it. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello. Thank you for calling the Federal Bureau of Investigation. If you'd like to resign, press 1. If you have a spouse or relative who is running as a Democrat, press 2. If you're calling from the Clinton Global Initiative, press 3.
If you press 3, we'll get right back to you with a broom.
Howie, I'm very disappointed you didn't open the show saying, "My heart feels like an alligator."
Well, there you go. I was kind of busy here at the Kowloon, but my heart does feel like an alligator today. I don't care if it is only 3 emails. I don't care if it is, all involving Carlos Danger. If it's gotten Paul Krugman's and all the rest of the mainstream media's panties in a dither or whatever you call it, Ann, I'm happy about it.
Sounds to me like Hillary should have got ReputationDefender.com instead of whitewashing that server of hers.
That was another great fact check. You know, he said Hillary took acid to her server.
Oh, yeah,
Remember that? Correction.
Acid washed it.
Yeah, she didn't use acid. She used bleach bits.
Right. False. 4 Pinocchios.
Mexico will not be paying for the wall after all. In exchange for a full pardon, the Clinton Foundation will be footing the bill.
I like that.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Clinton run is falling down, falling down, falling down. Take the key and lock her up, my fair Hillary.
I think it's time for another chant. We need another chant here. You know, Donald Trump is listening as he drives around Lisbon, Maine here, so make it loud. Lock her up. Lock her up. I like that. That's better. I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Hey, Hillary, no soup for you. Next.
All right, keep going.
Former Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan.
Yeah, isn't that a nice thought, Paul Ryan? Who I don't even care who gets rid of him. It's whether it's the Republicans or the Democrats.
Agree.
Just get him out of there.
Today's show is at the Colon with food you can't believe. Although Howie can't partake because of his idiotic sleeve. He'll have his token bite because this is his plight. And then the seagulls will swoop, causing him much of grief.
I had some lunch before everybody got into the room here. But you know what? And by the time it got to be like 4 o'clock, guess what? There was nothing left. There are a lot of good seagulls here in this audience today. It's like the old open-air dumps in Maine.
Howie, when illegal aliens get mailed a bill for using the turnpike without a transponder, do you think they'll pay the bill?
I've been wondering that same thing. I think there's going to be a lot more theft of license plates starting tonight, Ann, when the toll booths are finally going out of business.
Yeah.
And they're going to take our pictures. They're going to take photographs of everybody, and they'll send us the bills.
So everybody smile when you speed.
Or if you're an illegal alien, just steal your neighbor's plates who's a citizen so that your neighbor will get a bill for that in addition to everything else he's getting a bill for.
That was your last chump line message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
All right, that's it for the Chump Line today. The Chump Line is the recorded voicemail message service of the Howie Carr Show. You can call and leave a message at any hour of the day or night. The Chump Line is brought to you every day at this time by Matthews Brothers, whose Maine-made windows are available only through better lumber yards and window professionals like Deering Lumber, serving southern and coastal Maine with 3 convenient locations in Biddeford, Kennebunk, and Springvale. Deering Lumber, locally owned since 1866.
Mexico will not be paying for the wall after all. In exchange for a full pardon, the Clinton Foundation will be footing the bill.
They still have plenty of money left over. What do they got, like $250 million? $250 million. How much money does she need? She still told Bill, I want you to go and make that speech for $500,000. I don't care if it hurts me in the poll numbers in Iowa.
They had to calm her down.
Right, exactly. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back here at the Kowloon. I'm Howie Carr.
He didn't come here to be made sport of. Howie Carr.
Today's poll question is brought to you by Simply Safe. Criminals are experts at taking advantage of you, but if you have a Simply Safe home security system, you don't have to worry about that. They offer 24/7 professional security monitoring for just $14.99 a month. Go to simplysafehowie.com now to get free shipping on your order and get a free keychain remote. Simplysafehowie.com. Steve, what is the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Will the new developments in the FBI's investigation of Hillary Clinton end her career?
I hope so, so I'm going to say yes.
58% say no, Howie.
Well, I try to look at the glass as being half full. So to use the old cliche. All right, thank you, Steve. We have a question here. We're not taking any calls today because we're having some problems with the feedback with the calls from the studio. I know a lot of people are trying to call into our normal toll-free line, but we're just having a problem. So we're taking calls from the audience. So go ahead. Hi, who are you?
Hi, my name's Karen, and I'm here with my husband, Don. We're proud deplorables from Manchester, New Hampshire.
Excellent.
Anyway, Ann and Howie, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. After all the liberal outrage about Trump not committing to how he will handle the results of the election if he were to lose, do you for a second think that liberals and progressives will peacefully accept a Trump victory?
They won't peacefully accept a Trump rally, as we've seen from the James O'Keefe videotapes, let alone the election returns.
No, I mean, this whole campaign has been Trump, despite his alpha male personality, he's the one who's being a gentleman. He's the one who was bullied into saying, I will vote for whomever the Republican nominee is. Remember the hysteria over that at the first debate? The rest of them all swore in front of 20 million viewers that they'd support the nominee, whoever it is.
Jeb Bush,
and
John Kasich, all these people who aren't voting for him now.
Rubio, they all go back on their pledge that they forced him to take. It's unbelievable that they went back on that pledge after attacking him for taking 2 weeks to agree to it. And as for, it's really, I mean, to see that exact question asked, instead of a primary in the general election, that's what I said at the first debate. I went on Hannity and he said, why won't Trump take this pledge that he'll agree to support the eventual nominee? And I said, I only wanted, why aren't you asking all the other candidates that? Because Trump's going to be the nominee. I really want them, again, on the record, asked over and over again. This is a way of taunting him, and it's particularly egregious here because the history of these things are one political party will not accept the results of an election. That's not the Republican Party. There was a vote on whether illegal aliens should have be given taxpayer-funded benefits in California, and Democrats wouldn't accept the results of that election. They ran to court to get it overturned.
What about they couldn't even get Obamacare introduced in a constitutional way? So they screwed around with it and they called it a reconciliation.
But that isn't the exact same thing. I'm talking about results of an election.
I'm saying they don't play by the rules. Period.
On gay marriage. Al Franken didn't accept the results of an election for him. John Kerry.
And you got to get down there and sign some books. Go down there and sign some books. And Grace and I are going to do police water facts Friday. I'm Howie Carr.